What's good, family and friends? It's your boy Ace One, representing Gainesville, Florida. You already know 352, and we're back at it again. On this episode of Don't Shoot Me, I'm Just a Messenger, we're gonna be talking about spirituality and the meaning of life. So basically, I am a spiritual person who thrive on learning the unknown, especially when it comes to spiritual and the unknown. I have to know. I'm one of them people who, if I can't get the answers, it'll really bug me about certain things. So I've dove deep and did a lot of research, read a lot of books, and listened to a lot of people different accounts. And I think that I've kind of started to understand what the meaning of life is and the purpose that we all have of why we're here. But we tend to forget it, and we lost that knowledge. That was sacred knowledge. I think it goes back into the Kemet, which is ancient Africa. Um, and I think that the teachings that they had there were very beneficial to life today. They had a lot of answers. Um, and I don't know if it was reasons why they decided to not allow us to be able to understand that information that was very near and dear to our just mere existence. But somewhat on the line, they got rid of it, washed their hands, threw it to the side, and then next thing you know, it took us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years just to kind of get back to this point to where we have a little bit more understanding about our life, expect to see why we're here, things that how we be even prepared to even come here, and again the purpose of your life in general. So I think that's why I step in. I've done a lot of research, and some of the information I've started to come across gives great answers. And I think the information I'm about to give you is going to be more beneficial to you than the unknown aspect of how they try to get you just to believe that you're here now, and then once you're gone, that's just it, which is what I found out to be a lie. And it doesn't make any sense, because we can't just be here just for this one moment, and then when we go on, it's just like we're gone. So we just here by chance or here by luck, and just better enjoy this moment while we're here, because you don't get no more. And if that's the case, what is the purpose of human beings in general and spirituality in general? Because then you kind of take away from the essence of what being alive is actually about. If everything was just about you're here right now, enjoy the moment now, and once you're gone, and that's where it just stops, then what was the purpose of it? It was just meaningless. If that's the case, it's just meaningless. So I don't think that the creator in consciousness alone would just make us alive and be able to experience life just to turn around and be like, oh, that's it. Ball the paper up, throw it in the trash. It has no more significant meaning once it goes into the ground. I personally don't believe it. And that's why I'm here now, wanting to give you my interpretation, give you a little understanding of the research that I've developed, and hopefully it'll kind of help open your mind, open your eyes. And I just want you to think a little bit. Just you know be willing to just open the book and just give it a chance. What's the worst that can happen? Don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger. I just want to take this time to give you a brief description of what you go through in the spiritual world prior to coming to earth. So when you are in your spiritual state, you actually have a choice of where and who you want to be. It goes deeper than what you would expect, because not every being or spirit here on this earth that's experiencing the human experience, I guess, or having the human experience are here for fame and fortune and to be admired and be beautiful. Not all of them have that purpose here. Once you get deeper into it, and I will get into other situations that can kind of help further broaden your understanding. Some people come here for humility. Some people come here to be humble. You know, they come here for the main purpose of coming down here is to experience love in the fashion that only a human can display it. But nonetheless, there is love in the spiritual aspect. There is love in the spiritual sense that is also given. So it's not like there's no love in the spiritual realm. It's just a different kind of love. Earth, we have a lot of ego and pride. And that is the main reason why we have a lot of fights and disagreements and ego, you know, like I said, egos are driven. You know, we are ego driven, and that's part of the experience that we have to go through here on earth, because that helps us more define our characters and know how to see things and know how to handle it for when it's our turn. And when I say our turn, not all of us have the same goals in the spiritual realm, but we all want to get to that guide status. We want to be a guide. So yeah, we want to make more or less a spiritual guide. Hopefully that gives you an understanding, because where I'm about to go, you guys might get a little lost, and because you don't understand the origins, for you to be able to walk with me through what I'm about to tell you. All right, that's all I wanted to say about that. Now, we're going to be speaking about what's the purpose of life. You see my eyes, they got big like that. Anyway, got a little bit of information. So, the purpose of life. All right. You got a couple questions like, why did you decide to be who you are? Why are you here? The reasons for the goals that you have set up for yourself. You know, it's things like that that we really don't have answers for. And what we were told was like, you come here more or less, and then you just experience what you got, and you better live it to the fullest, because this is the only chance you get at it. You know, and if you don't do it accordingly, you just waste your life, then you basically just wasted your life, and that's it. But through the research that other people have done, as well as I, and from testimonies of people who've traveled to the afterlife or traveled to the spiritual realms, their account is totally different than what we were told growing up. You got this heaven and hell thing going on. There's some truth to it, and then there's some untruth, I guess. Some lies, I guess, if you want to say that. But this is a very touchy subject, because people aren't going to accept it for what it is, because they were taught through their upbringing, how they were raised. They were taught and basically indoctrinated. Basically just had these things beat into their head over and over and over and over. And then they just finally gave up and just believed it and stuck with it. Not wanting to even question it, because even to question it is taboo to some people. Me personally, I think certain things are made taboo just so you don't know the real answer. They don't want you to know the answer. Because if you knew what was really going on, you wouldn't allow yourself to be controlled by a single unit. And you'll be more free and more willing to do what you do and how you feel, according to how it comes in your chest, which is your heart and your brains. which is your mind, whatever you want to call it. However it comes to you, is this, that's how you're going to follow through with it, which is supposed to be how it's supposed to be. You know, that is how it's supposed to be. So what is your purpose in life? All right. For your purpose of life is to basically come here and give it a shot. See, you have reasons on why you decided to come here to Earth. Some of the reasons may be just learning experiences. But what you have to understand is, what is the reason that you're here now? Why you're here now? You know. See, we were told about heaven and hell, but we weren't. But them were just mere descriptions of situations that you could be placed in the afterlife or in the spiritual realm. But here's the kicker: you choose what you decide to go through while you're here on Earth. You have a choice. You are always given a choice. You always have an opportunity. That's why there's free will. If our purpose was just to be what the next man is, then we would all be programmed to follow suit and such. But you have a difference of opinion for a reason, because you are the individual spirit that decided to come to this earth and have your individual experience on this earth while you're here. Now, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What drives you? What driven you? What things spark your interest? Them are the things that really define who you are as a spirit and your soul. Because what drives you as the individual is partially the reason why you're here on earth now. It's your experience. Right? All right, so listen. Okay, for instance, why did you decide to be who you are? You know, why did you pick them parents? If you knew that you had a choice prior to coming and you decided to say, hey, listen, I'm going to pick these parents as the ones that I want to be over me, or the ones to raise me. You may have picked them because they have a certain style of how they treat each other and how they treat others. Sometimes it might not be the best. Sometimes it might be a really great situation. But you knew prior to coming that you were going to be raised under certain parents and certain rules that you've accepted prior to coming. So, the purpose of your life, right? And then what's your purpose in life? Why did you decide to be who you are? From your friends that you chose. Sometimes you kind of pre-know, like, I don't want to say pre-know, but you already know who your friends are, because little do you know, prior to coming to Earth, you already had a group of people that you've already been associated with for past lives. And y'all came up in the same group together because y'all were learning at the same pace, more or less. Now, there are some who advance within them groups, but nonetheless, you all came in at a certain era, I guess you would say. So they grouped you guys together. And you've became fond of these spirits that you have similar energy patterns with, and y'all develop relationships. Some more serious than others. Some are funny. Some are, really intimate. But nonetheless, these are entities or spirits that you are very familiar with. And the friends that you choose on this earth might be some of them spirits that you were grouped up with in the spiritual realm. When y'all, because you guys have to go through a learning experience, you still are being taught on how to become a better you, and be more beneficial to the other spirits, right? So, so some of your friends may be some of the spirits that you've actually came with, more or less, or you guys will meet paths, and you guys will have a likeness, and you guys will align because you have a natural energy towards each other. Now, your parents, your parents can be somebody who's already been in your life, and now it's their role to love you as one of their kids, or vice versa. Now, that's not always a possibility, but spirits tend to move in unison together. So the experience, the guides, so you have the guides, you have you got teachers. I'm pretty sure we all heard of spiritual guides. If not, do some research. But we have teachers, and we have other instructors, more or less, who are going to be a part of our lives in this journey that we chose to take. Prior to coming, we already knew who we were going to be, and we kind of knew the lifestyle that we were going to lead. Little do you know. And we chose it because of the lesson that is going to be given during that lifespan. Your parents, you necessarily don't choose, or I'm sorry, you do choose them, and you choose them based on how they treat each other, how they're going to treat you. Now, again, some of us are not here to have a very happy experience. Some of us are here because we need to learn humility, or we need to be disciplined in some form of fashion. So you might choose your parents according to how strict they are, or you might choose them because of how loving they are. Little do you know, you may even choose your parents because they're going to abuse you, and that's the lesson you need to learn, is the humility. During the research that I've came across, there's been stories, or one particular story, where in one of these people's past lives, they recall being somebody who would R-word and just treat women horrible. So they decided that they were going to come back, but when they came back, they decided they wanted to be a woman who got treated the same as that way, because they needed to learn what it felt like so they could understand why you should or why you shouldn't do certain things. See, the experience just might not be necessarily gold and glitter. It might be poop, and rainy days. But that's the life you chose, and you did it for a reason. Don't forget that. Now, why are you here? You want to satisfy certain desires, like I was speaking about. Certain desires that you have here on earth that you don't have in the spiritual realm are envy, pride, ego, love to a certain extent, fortune, fame, things to that matter. That and them are what you potentially could desire here. Now there's also a negative. Again, you might want to be humiliated. You might want to know what it's like to be picked on. There's other accounts that some of the people who've experienced the spiritual realm and seen themselves in different bodies, there are accounts where there were people would describe themselves as being a little kid on the playground with other kids, but they were a little bigger, and they would bully the smaller kids and throw rocks at the kids when the teachers weren't looking. Then they remember another time when they were the kids on the playground and another kid was throwing rocks at them and bullying them. So the point of their journey was, since they were the bad kid at one time and picking on the lesser, they now had to come back and experience being the lesser, being the kid who was getting bullied, because they had to understand that humility. You understand? We can go back to why you decided to be the human that you are. And it gets deep to where you have accounts of people who've, again, been to their spiritual mind and seen the different lives that they've had. And they've experienced the fact that they wanted to be physically disabled because they needed to know what it's like to depend on somebody else for everything. So that was their journey. That was their goal, was to know what it's like to be dependent on somebody for everything. And there's even accounts where they got into detail as to when and why they allow, and I did say allow, certain things to happen to them so they can experience what it's like to be in that discomforted state. And to us, we would say that it's crazy, but to others, it was the reason why they did it the way that they did it, because they needed to understand what it's like, so they would have that bit of compassion or that bit of understanding, because it's all about understanding. Understanding, overstanding, outerstanding. It's all about where you stand. And you got to gain knowledge in order for you to acknowledge your purpose. I think that's why I'm going to end it on that. I'm going to do a little bit more research and I'll come back at you with a little bit more information. But until then, it's all love, straight from the heart. You already know what it is. It's your boy Ace One. Peace. Don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger. Peace.